Greetings and salutations, guys. Welcome back to Stoffel Presents Play Expo Blackpool. Now, this is going to be a really fun interview for me and a bit different because I'm interviewing two guys about a community I know nothing about and a computer game that I haven't seen. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, researching isn't your strong point.
There was beer on floor last night.
That's always the excuse we can use.
So I'm joined by Steve and Weatherley.
So we try that one again?
Because I'm Chris.
Just keep going.
Just keep it. I'll cut that. Right.
Yeah.
Right, so we're joined by Chris and by Weatherley. And let's start with, because you both just released a game.
Yes.
Called Bugs Quest.
Yes.
Do you explain what the game is?
Yeah, no problem at all. Basically, I'll go back. Myself and Chris have been friends for a while now, and Chris has always had this character on YouTube, an Overbug, which is there on his t-shirt. And I always wanted to make an Amstrad game. So what I ended up doing is I was messing with the sprites. I thought that looks like an Overbug.
Just accidentally.
Just like yeah. And I thought, why not? So eventually, I made this platform game based off of his character and also based off some members of the community. Their sprites are in there with them as well.
But you said, like, I love how you just probably, I wanted to make an Amstrad game. First question is, why?
Well, why not? I know this.
How many people have an Amstrad? You know, that's the thing is, like, you know, it's a very niche.
Yeah, it is niche. I mean, I'll let you answer this
I
one.
want to talk about the community for a minute. To say how many people have an Amstrad, surprisingly quite a few. Because we all know that the Spectrum community is huge. Commodore as well, and you go into the Amiga and stuff like that. Amstrad community is much sort of like a quieter community. But we're one of those communities that really looks out for each other and sort of like we follow each other, we promote each other's work, efforts, media, writing, videos and stuff like that. So it's one of those communities where, it might not be obvious, but when you get in it or when you're aware of it, it's really strong. It's a real strong bond.
You know, I didn't even know it existed until I saw you on the panel yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to get you on, I need to talk. It's like, but what is this world? Like,
yeah, it is a little world. I mean, you were at the lock-in last night,
right,
and you were in the lock-in where, if people know, basically we have access to all the arcades and that ourselves. The majority of people there were from the Amstrad community.
Well, I've seen a lot of guys walking around with Amsquad.
Amsquad and Bug Army.
Yeah, Bug Army.
Bug Army is my thing, and Amsquad is our Zyphos thing, and we're arguably maybe the two most prominent YouTube channels featuring the Amstrad.
So with the Amstrad community you're part of, is that made up of game developers who are on the side, or is it hobbyists?
It's anybody that's had an Amstrad in their life. You know, I mean, I got my first Amstrad in 1984 when it was released. So, and a lot of guys, and we've even got Commodore guys in there because they just love the community, and the community spirit that we've got. It's really cool. I mean, I've seen Kim walking in. Kim's part of the community. Kim's a member of the Bug Army.
Oh, cool.
Not on camera, but Kim Justice just walked in. So, but yeah, she's part of the community as well, and it really is. We've got OSG, haven't we?
Yeah, he's a Commodore man.
And he's a Commodore man, and he's got, how many subs has he got?
That's another thing that we do, is I don't know whether the other communities do this so much. I think some of them have an element of this. We certainly welcome anybody in to say, right, everyone will come in and they'll take the mickey of the Amstrad or something along like that. Okay, we'll convert you.
So there's a Spectrum guy, you get your lead with an Amstrad.
Here comes colour.
Without the clash.
Yes, and it's not shades of brown.
When you set out, you decide you're going to make a game.
Yeah.
You found this sprite and it looks like Chris's dog, so you're going to make a game out of this.
Yeah.
Is that, I'm going to make a game out of this to release commercially, or is it just, I'm going to make a game because I can?
It was because I can.
Right.
Because going back, I mean, I mentioned it on the panel the other day, when I was in the 80s, I passed my O level, that shows how old I am, on my Amstrad. using my Amstrad, so I'd be cycling to school on my Raleigh Grifter with my Amstrad CPC in the backpack in connector because we had
days.
yeah,
Awesome days.
because we had BBC micros there, but I was like, no, I've got my own computer, I'm going to use that for and I'd passed it with an A star on the O level using the Amstrad CPC. And I always wanted to, I did programming, but mainly basic and stuff like that, and I always wanted to go over to machine code and learn, and I did that for a while until, unfortunately, my hormones kicked in. I'm being very politically correct here. My hormones kicked in, and I noticed the opposite sex, and then all of a sudden gaming.
The Amstrad's gathering dust now.
Yeah, the Amstrad was gathering dust. But I was always gaming anyway. I went up to 16-bit, and then I think that was I retired.
It's come full circle now because he's burnt himself out and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, it was literally a case I thought, you know what, I always wanted to make a proper game and get it out there, and it's not about the money, because the one thing about this game that we've released, there is no money. I've not made a percent out of it. If anything, it's cost me, myself and Chris.
It has,
it's cost us money to make, but we don't care.
It's more of a passion project or a labour of love than a
It's
commercial
a
venture.
twofold thing as well. It was started off as the game, of course, and then it evolved into like an offshoot of charity as well, which is, I think, one of the most important things about this game, is that any penny that was made from it went to charity.
Which charity does it go to? Macmillan. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
The more successful it is, the more Macmillan get. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, we did two live streams with the game, and Chris was doing the physical side of things. So he physically made the
I
cassettes.
produced all the physical cassettes and the designs as well.
Exactly. And so we had a charity order. There's only 20 copies in the world.
Nice.
So there will never be another physical copy of it. We auctioned them off, and we raised £2.5 grand on that night.
On that night, it was £2.5 grand.
Yeah, one person paid £464 for one cassette.
Yeah.
For charity.
We thought, honestly, at the time, we thought, no, we've got to be being trolled here. But it was genuine, and it was paid within 10 minutes.
Yeah, you're sat there going, that's brilliant. There's going to be a charge back on this, or it's going to be
the notification come up, and it was, because the donations were delivered directly into charity, directly into Macmillan.
Yeah,
so once you paid it, that's it.
Yeah, you don't. It's not like you're getting it.
It's not going to PayPal or anybody's Patreon or anything like that. It went straight into the Just Giving.
I love stuff like when you're doing like charity streams and stuff, especially in gaming, because people get ridiculously generous.
Yeah.
I did a couple of years ago. I did a 24-hour live stream for special effects, and it got to like 23 hours and 40 minutes or something. And I set out to make 200 quid, and I would have 830 quid. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is better than it. And in the dying minutes of the stream, someone just popped up and went, "Oh, that's not good enough," and put 100 odd quid and topped up to £1,000.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell is that? I ran out of games to give away. I can't. No. And it's just people who. Gamers are ridiculously generous on stuff like that.
A similar thing happened with this actually. After the stream, it was hovering around about 2,447 or something like that. And then one of our other regular viewers, who regularly makes very generous donations, both to me, his iPhone, and a few others, and gets really involved. Lovely guy, and he just said, "Oh, I'll top it up to £2.5 grand."
Yeah.
And then we had the second stream.
Yeah, and then we had a second stream where it was just people were just. My criteria was £2 or more.
Yeah.
And you'll get a digital copy, and I'll just email it straight over to you. And we were again over £500 just on that.
That's fantastic. That's amazing.
Yeah, and that is the strength of the Amstrad community. I think it's. I've been in other communities. I've seen the other communities, but we are so close knit. We all look after each other, and there's no airs, no graces. I mean, when I first started coming to these retro events, Kim and Chris took me under the wing. And as I said on the panel, it's like I should be sat over there. I love that.
I'm on that side.
Yeah.
I'm up here.
Yeah, I'm the fanboy. I'm the fanboy. What do you want me for?
I'm just going to go back to what you say when you put some of the sprites in the game and community members as well.
Yeah. Now let's try and be
Careful.
careful. Well, on these streams that Chris does, especially, there's in-jokes about certain members of the community. So there's one called GP. Now he's an enigma GP. Nobody knows who he really is, his real name. And what he tends to do is change his username every week.
Right.
Just for the laugh.
Just for the fun of
But
it.
his ingoing joke is that he wants to be in a bath of baked beans with Chris and Zypho. You know, and that's that kind of sexual humour, if you wish.
Tempting sometimes, to be fair.
Well, I've seen him, you know. But so he's a character on there. There is one sprite that's
look, let's not beat around the bush. He's basically turned him into a gimp.
the pink gimp.
The pink gimp.
Yeah. Now there's also obviously Zypho's wife Kate. There's Rachel who's an Amstrad video creator, and Andrea, and they're all good friends. We all have the banter, and I also have those ladies as ladies of the night. On
So like kind of think like, oh, I'm in the game, this is brilliant, and then when they see the game, go, no, I don't want to be in the
they loved it.
There's the original version. There is an edited version. There's a family version.
Yeah, the family-friendly version is what's on Amstream. But the original that went out and for charity and all that, yes.
I think the important thing is it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah, it's not hurting anyone.
There's no offence cause or anything like this. It's just a bit of bargain basement trash humour.
So
That's what it's for.
when you're making Bug Quest, do you program that on an Amstrad natively, or you program the PC?
Obviously I was using emulators and various programs to transfer. It's not that difficult. It's not near as difficult nowadays as it was back in the day. You get a lot of the code is already made for you. So, and there's also a huge community of developers that are just in the same boat. They wanted to make a game, and so I'm a member of those communities as well.
Did you get that kind of thing then where you're stuck on a bit of code and you're struggling to figure it out?
Yeah.
You've got this community where you can just go, what am I doing wrong? And everyone's like, straighten out, I'll do this.
Exactly.
Like this.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not the best graphic artist at all. And with Bugs Quest, what I did, I reached out to the community, and the next thing you know, in the community, they were saying, "Oh, I can help you with that. I can help you with that. I can help you with that." And I was like, "Oh, brilliant, fantastic!" Brian O'Higgins, he was my sprite designer. We worked in tandem, and I was like, oh, "I need this sprite, but my sprites look crap. Can you?" So, what can you come up with? And he'll just throw a lot of sprites at me. Like, oh, that's fantastic, brilliant, thanks, mate. You know, and level designs. And I reached out to the community and said on Discord, saying, just send in whatever you want, even if it's a photo on a piece of graph paper, and I'll try and get your sprites in.
Inspiration, ideas, that kind of thing.
Just you setting a vision and you'll often create.
And everybody was coming in left, right, and centre. You did some sprites and
I did a level.
and the level, and screen layouts, and everybody had input. And in the end, I was literally saying, right, that's what they want, that's what they're getting, kind of thing. And it was, just making it work.
You mentioned there, you slightly mentioned it's on Amstrad, so I think that's amazing. You've got
Mate.
an original release Amstrad game, and it sounds like you made it just for fun and for the community. And now it's at the world at large. Anyone in the world can play it on Amstrad.
Yeah, it is honestly, my mind has been blown. Absolutely.
That's going to be the most distributed Amstrad game in history.
Well, it's also the first.
Yeah,
the first Amstrad CPC game on Amstream, and it's like, why do you want my game? and I said to you,
look, there's a community here. Look at what they're making. It's
That's the thing. You've got people over in bloody Canada and Australia playing this game.
Yeah.
It's just
mind-blowing. You just sit back a little bit and just go, what the fuck is going on?
It's been received well as well. More important.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. I mean, the reviews have started going out. Yourself did a review, and
it's going to have its first published review next month as well.
Yeah, in Am6 magazine.
Yeah,
which is an Amstrad magazine.
Fantastic. How did it go from being this little pet project that you make for the community to being on Amstrad? How did that come about?
Honestly, this is the magic of the community. This is the magic of the community, because somebody will say, "Oh," Steve, Retro Steve, was chatting to Steve Cotton, Amstrad, and he was talking about Bridget, which everybody knows what Bridget is. I'm not gonna. It's a famous game, and he was saying, "Oh no, I can't get the rights for it from Sky," and then Steve just went, "Oh, hang on, Phil's just made a game," and he said, he sent it to him, and he was like, "I love that."
There's no licensing because Phil owns it.
Yeah, I own it. I'm YB Soft, you know. Yeah, and it's like I own it. He doesn't have to worry about licensing, and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm okay. And then I said to you, I found out last night the Jim Bagley has been through my code, and he's converted it over to Amstrad, and I'm like, oh my god,
been touched by God.
Extrapolated the code out so they could score, and Jim did that. I didn't know that until yesterday. We were having a conversation with Jim at the bar.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's surreal.
I've done tech me now. I think I happened.
7 years ago, I sat out there with Jim on a panel questioning Jim. Then a couple of years later, I'm on the panel, and then he's in the audience, and then a couple of years later, he's in the panel. It's like, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's just what a journey. And this is what I was saying. I'm that guy that sat at the back there watching these panels with stars in his eyes, looking at Kim and looking at, you know, all these in the community famous people, you know.
Yeah, this is like I know what you're about. Like I started, years ago, I would come to these events and playing games and watching the panels, and now I'm sat here interviewing people on the panels, and it's weird.
Oh, that was brilliant. I mean, I'd be traipsing with my camera gear and all that, so, being dead shy, like, oh, Kim, can I just do a little interview? You don't know who the hell I am, can I do it? And Kim, honestly, was absolutely, no problem and all that. And that is the magic of the Retro and Lim Amstrad community. It is, we all look after each other.
It's an 8-bit community in general.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I'm so speaking about.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to be inclusive.
No.
This is probably kind of a little bit off topic from what you've done, but I've noticed like with the retro community of the recent years, it's always been, when I first came aware of it was like, oh yeah, that's the trader hall. That's where they're selling all the rare games. Yeah. And then it seems to have expanded over the years to the point now we're here today, and it's like, yeah, you come to play Expo, we've got all the retro arcade machines, but we've got a game being made for the Nintendo. We've got a new game being made for the Game Boy.
Yeah. It's always happening.
And it seems to be more prominent over the last year. So
it has exploded.
Has it broken out of those communities?
It was on the rise, actually. It's been on the rise for the good past, I would say, 8 years.
Yeah, especially.
And then with last year, really it took off with lockdown and all that kind of stuff. It really took off because people were found themselves spare time. What do we do? And then they discovered it's tapping into more retro games. And then you get a lot of modern games which are retro inspired as well. So that is much more common. And they're playing it on the high-end top platforms such as the Xboxes and PlayStation. And these are 8-bit, 16-bit style games that they're new. So then you do the reverse.
My game of the year so far this year is a game called Metal. And it's 8-bit parody inspired by the original Metal Gear.
Yeah, so it's got that 8-bit style graphic ability. Yeah. And you get the phenomenon of demakes. Have you ever seen that, the phenomenon of demakes, where they take a classic game and then they reverse it to make it a lot simpler but still make it as the same game. There's like Final Fantasies that have been done in 8-bit.
Yeah. There was a post on Indie Retro News and there's a Doom for the Amstrad.
That's right, yeah.
Doom on the Amstrad was like...
Doom is one of those weird ones, because I've seen like Doom being played on a pregnancy kit and Doom being played on Twitter.
Yeah. So, but it's like all these demakes, but I mean, we've been fortunate because we've been getting some in the... Sorry, I'm Amstrad. Cut me in half like a stick of rock, I've got Amstrad written through. But
it's got a Z18 plugged in.
Yeah. My pacemaker is Skyrock.
Yes.
But we've been so fortunate with some excellent guys bringing out new games. It's like we had a remake of
Puzzle Bobble recently.
Yeah, you've just done a review on that.
Done a review on that. That's going to be reviewed and it's being released today.
Yeah.
It's being recorded on Sunday, whatever. So that's being released today.
R-Type, we had R-Type on
that was back in 2012.
Yeah.
But it was a remake of R-Type. Because the original R-Type on the Amstrad was
a specky ball.
known as not being the great, not bad. I mean, it's not terrible by any means, but it is just a specky port because it was taken by Bob Pape's original excellent Spectrum version. And I think, even as an Amstrad fan, I will admit, one of the finest examples of an 8-bit conversion from an arcade is R-Type on the Spectrum. It's absolutely awesome. So heavily inspired by, if this is what the Spectrum can do, we know the Amstrad can do a lot better than that version, so they remade it and it's amazing, absolutely incredible. It's up there with the Master System version.
I think I talked to you last night and you were saying that the Amstrad when it was out was criminally underused because
Yes.
everything from the Spectrum had just ported over,
Yeah. Well,
even though it was superior.
hardware, yeah.
Yeah.
Parts of its hardware are superior, yeah, but it needs to be handled well. So it's tapping into the tricks that some of its chipsets can do, that other systems can do. Because the Spectrum we know can run really fast. It's got a good heartbeat to it. The compromise is the visuals. That's the compromise with the Amstrad. It's got a lot of screen memory. So you can't take a load of code from the Spectrum, dump it onto the Amstrad because it eats up all the screen. The memory gets eaten up all the screen. So you've got to optimize the code. And good examples, a great example from back in the day would be Chase HQ. Right? Because they're coded very similarly on the Spectrum and the Amstrad. But they both move at a similar pace and work, and they're both really, really faithful copies. And everyone would argue the Spectrum and the Amstrad versions of Chase HQ, which is the best. And this because both got the merits. But that's the way you optimize code for each individual system. So it's a great example of that.
Yeah. And on that, I was speaking to Jim again last night, and he was telling me, he was saying he was giving right, you've got the Spectrum game, you've got a week
To make the
Amstrad
He
one.
said that about Midnight Resistance.
Midnight Resistance, yeah. And he was saying he was just like, get on with it. No, we're not putting any money towards, because obviously it was the also ran computer after the Commodore and the Spectrum, so there wasn't as many units out there, so the software houses.
Well, it was 2 years later to the market.
Yeah.
As well.
So the software houses weren't that interested. It was an also ran, so they didn't put the resources behind it. So he had to do the graphics himself. He wasn't allowed graphic designers and all that. He had to do it all himself within a week
to do it.
In the late 80s, it started to outsell the Spectrum. In the late 80s, though, it started to overtake the Spectrum at that point. But by that point, the 8-bit era was coming to a close. And, so,
Do you find in the Amstrad community is it people of a certain age, the people on it in the 80s, or are you getting a younger audience in who are discovering it?
we do have some young people.
Well, I'm thinking Simi really.
Simi's
Simi's one of the community. He's a young guy, he didn't have an Amstrad. It was his missus, wasn't it? Had an Amstrad.
Even up one.
And he was like, he just literally just flicked onto some of the live streams, and he loves the community aspects of it. And now he's into the Amstrad. So yeah, it's bizarre the way it's been.
It appeals to a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely.
And now you've met Bugs Quest.
Yes, sir.
It's out there, distributed across the world.
Yes.
Probably the most distributed Amstrad game in history. The first one ever on Amstream.
Yeah.
So what's next?
There is one. There is one.
They've got one next.
There is one next. Now, I actually, after the panel, they were asking for exclusives just to Amstream. So I had a quick word with Steve, and I promised him my next game, which is already started, will be an Amstream exclusive. It will not be on
Nothing else.
nothing else. It's going to be an Amstream exclusive because that's a part of it's my gift to them, if you wish. But
Yeah, you created this game as a little project.
yeah,
Bigger than you could ever imagine.
yeah.
And they've helped you do that. So I kind of owe you a little bit.
Yeah. So, and I will announce it, and I will, and Kim's going to appreciate this one. It's Bridget 2.
We love the comedy.
You can't see Kim's off camera just giggling away.
yeah. I've started dev on Bridget 2. Sprites are done. Some of the screen layouts. I'm going to go back a little bit, take a few steps back because I wasn't quite too happy with where it was going. Because now that it's going to be Amstream exclusive, I've got to start thinking about high score challenges. I've got all that thing, the features.
As well.
So it's got to be cleaner, of course. Yeah, I know. How many? Sorry, can I swear?
Yeah,
yeah.
We don't give a fuck.
Yeah, how many cock sprites? I'm gonna have to change them.
Seriously, hold back on the tits and pussies.
Definitely. So, but yeah, so that is. I promised Steve Com I'll get that out to him in the next month or two as an exclusive. I'm also working on another game which I've just started, and this one again, everything's Amstrad. I'm not going to move from the Amstrad, although I was playing with Game Boy stuff, code.
That's a
week.
crime.
Yeah, that Game Boy Color. I was thinking,
Game Boy Color.
yeah.
I'm not going to work back.
Game Boy Color with colours same as Mode 1. It's going to be a multi-load adventure gauntlet-y Zelda type game based on my character Yellowbelly.
Nice.
He was actually a base for it as well, wasn't there? There's a game that was in development that is kind of sidelined. The project sort of fell apart, but that has been resurrected and then turned into.
Turned into this.
I can't say more much, but it's been in the ether for a while, but now it's going to come back as something else. It's going to be reborn.
It seems like Amstrad are really supportive.
Oh yeah.
So can you see more of the community, like all these? I'm sure there's people in the community like yourself that have made their own games.
Yes.
Can you see them kind of going, I'm on stream.
Yeah.
We'll put that out.
Well, what I did again, I was chatting to marketing. Sorry, I forgot her name now. Isabel. There you go. It's early still. And I was chatting to Isabel, and I've actually reached out to a couple of devs already that have finished games, and I'm going to put them in contact with Isabel about possibly getting them on the system.
That's amazing. Like,
There's one developer that I would personally speak to see if he'd be interested in getting this game, because I think his series of games are particularly good.
Yeah. Well, is that the one that's making a sequel as we speak?
Making a sequel as we speak.
Yes, I've already.
Two of my favourite games from his.
Yes. Yeah, but we don't want to give
names.
It's not the worst thing to say. Oh,
it's not your announcement to give.
This person's going to do it, and then they're like, "What? I never said that."
I do have a particular fondness of his style of games.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I just love the idea that a system that's 40 years old, 40 years, and now there's a commercial revenue for the community, because I'm assuming there's some revenue share or royalties from being an Amstrad.
I didn't see the bit when I got one.
No, but I'm not going to say it's millions or that, but there'll be some. So I love the idea that 40 years down the line, this system is no longer out.
Yeah.
It's got a lovely community around it, has now somehow
it's
become
bizarre.
commercially viable.
It's weird. Honestly, it's surreal. It really is. It's like I'm living the bedroom coder dream in my 50s.
It's 40 years too late.
I want to do it back then. I want another crack at it 40 years later.
We're going to do this in 2021.
You'd be heartbroken. Imagine like cycling to school with an Amstrad on your back and going, don't worry mate, 40 years time. 40 years time it'll come good.
I wouldn't have dreamed a million years ago. I mean, when I sat down in 87 and programmed my first basic code on the Amstrad, it was like 16 whatever it was back then, I wouldn't have dreamed that I'd still be talking about the Amstrad in 2021 at 44 years old.
I don't know, it's that weirdness bit in it, like, they've got PS5 and the Xbox X out, and there's amazing ray tracing and 4K graphics, and like, fuck that, I want the Amstrad CPC.
You do get this sort of the shoulders. It's like a rocket ship.
Yeah. The best one was my lad. I've got a son, and I bought him an Xbox One and all that, and I was going, yeah, son, have a crack at this. So, and he goes, I'm a great gamer, me, Dad, and I put him on Galactic Plague.
Yes.
He lasted 5 seconds. I'm not playing, that's too hard.
I remember a few years back when my son, one of his favourite games is Bully.
Yeah.
And he's like, I love Bully, this game's brilliant, he's showing me. I'm like, yeah, I'll play it. He's like, no, but you don't understand how good it is. He's like, no. Play School Days.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's based off of. And he was like, this is you can't even do this. Like, these games hated you.
Yeah.
They did not want you to win.
Yeah. And it was, like I said, a lot of when I was doing the games, the one thing is, with me, I was always a shit gamer. I play games, but I was shit at them. I mean, you've got Chris and Zai that are doing these high score challenges and all that. I was always crap. I never really completed a game. You know what I mean? Back in the day, because it was like, you say, oh, so I'll stick another one on. And then wait half an hour for it to load.
I'm saying like, you'll complete your game, like, it took me months, but I finally did it. I've achieved something. And you look online, it's like, here's this guy completing it in 7 minutes, 15 seconds.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
It's got my lads trying to do that.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you guys.
It's been
so
awesome.
happy for you all.
No, we're made up. I'll just give you the heads up. CP, if you have an emulator, Amstrad emulator, like WinApe or
Virtual Machine, CPCE, Java CPC.
yeah, it's on CPC Power website. Postgres. It's also on CPC Reviews. Good friend of ours, Nick, and and obviously now it's on AntStream as well. So and it's all free. No money's involved for me.
AntStream's, am I right thinking AntStream's free to play with ads?
Yeah.
It's free to play, you can subscribe to remove the ads, so it's there for everybody to play.
Yeah. Who really pays?
Yeah. Ad blocker. And I'm chuffed for both of you.
Oh, thank
Pleasure
you,
to meet you both.
mate.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you,
Cheers, fella. Thank you.